They are 15 points ahead of Bayern. They are 24 points ahead of Dortmund. Two teams that could be in the Champions League final. But anyway, they are in the Champions League semi-finals. So will then Leverkusen be the best team when they hammered the two teams that are now in the Champions League semi-final?
Hi and welcome to the German Fussball Podcast. I'm your host, Markus Fjörtoft, and as always joined by co-host Jan Fjörtoft. We have two more rounds of the Bundesliga. We have a big week, a European week. We have Dortmund in action. We have Bayern in action. We have Leverkusen in action. It could be a celebratory season for the Bundesliga, for the German teams. Before we dig into all that, Dad, we also always have the customary weekend recap. Share with the audience what you've been up to this weekend.
As I've been and am your dad, you will be glad to know that I had a weekend at home with your mom.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, but I still managed to work at the studio Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday doing the Premier League and doing, of course, Leverkusen's win against Roma was an impressive game. We'll talk more about that. And now I'm in Salzburg. I'm doing the Champions League, as you were saying. This is we are recording this. Early evening on a Tuesday. We'll after we finish here and you publish this, we'll watch Dortmund and then Bayern tomorrow, of course, and then Leverkusen. And we will have a special episode on Friday morning. We recorded Friday morning about the so-called Farmers League could have two teams in the Champions League final and Leverkusen in the Europa League final. And I mean, that deserves, whatever happens, that deserves a special episode. And we will also do that in gratefulness, so to say, for all our new subscribers, the interactions we're having with you on different platforms, being X, being TikTok, being wherever you, Markus, are leading these great people that give us knowledge and inspiration. And we will just, hopefully that you will, for those who haven't subscribed, it's a very great inspiration for us when you subscribe, because a more number, we're building up a small community here, getting bigger and bigger, and we love that. But Markus, I guess we'll start with Leverkusen, as your weekend has not been. I don't think you have done any football this weekend, have you, Markus?
I have not done any football. I watched football, and the reason we're doing this a bit later in the afternoon is I just did an interview down the road from me with Christian Norgård, who is the Brentford captain. And we did a sort of a my career in pictures, and it was very interesting. I look forward to putting that out in relation to the Euros. And he did. The German connection is his first club abroad was Hamburg, but he said that was his first move abroad, and he said it was pretty tough for him. And my point with the interview was, you're here, sitting here as Brentford captain, you play for the Denmark national team, but it hasn't been easy, has it? Or not easy, I didn't put it in words like that, but you kind of reflected on that journey. So that's what I'd done, not so much as the weekend, but on a day like today. But I did watch.
But you did remind me, Markus, but just on Brentford, you remind me that you were there in 2012, and I do remember that. You went over there and trained with their under 23. You were 18, going from Brentford, and you just tweeted that you were back there. I had forgotten that, but true. Yeah. You've been in some clubs, haven't you? With a different where you played is once in Scotland and New Zealand and in the USA, of course. But then you have New York Red Bulls. You trained with Middlesbrough under 23, Brentford under 23.
But don't forget my infamous one, the Holstein Kiel one.
Holstein
Kiel. You were about to go up to the Bundesliga.
1 point they need in the last game against Fortuna Düsseldorf. Holstein Kiel, of all teams down there, with the big teams going, Holstein Kiel is going to be back. And Markus, I have to tell the story. Markus went there, made a trial. Markus
couple days.
Won.
I even got a game. It was the custom.
Yeah, I know.
There was the cup, not a cup game, but like the first game of the preseason when you play like, you know, the federation of, you know, the blind a bit. It's no offense, but that's how it works.
No. That's what they do in Germany. They play small teams first to get in motion, and you are 195. A big guy, not the quickest one, like your dad.
I blame it on you, yeah.
And then after the game, they said they looked for a quick defender. But still, Markus, a great story for Holstein Kiel. But we have to come back, Markus, to the big story. Is Leverkusen quick explainer. They have now 48 games without losing. The original name of the Invincible was not Arsenal. That was Preston North End, that in 1888-89 season went 27 games in League Cup without losing. So they were the original Invincible. Then came the great Arsenal team that did 38 games in the Premier League, got to be said. And I just read it up, Marcus, because I was wondering when did it stop for them? And it stopped after 49 games. So there's another record for Leverkusen to catch. They have 48 games now, play on Thursday against Roma at home, and they could break that record. And then, Marcus, is my challenge to you. If they go through the whole season in the league, not losing, in the Europa League, not losing, going through the Pokal, the Cup, they have one game left. It's going to third. It's against Kaiserslautern. They're the biggest favorite in the history of the German Cup. Will they then be the greatest team of all time? And I'll explain you why. To make it a bit harder for you. They are 15 points ahead of Bayern. They are 24 points ahead of Dortmund. Two teams that could be in the Champions League final. But anyway, they are in the Champions League semi-finals. So will then Leverkusen be the best team and when they hammered the two teams that are now in the Champions League semi-final?
I would say it's the best ever season. Of course, with teams, we have the Real Madrids of the great 60s with Stefano.
No, okay. Your dad was wrong. Best season.
I'm deflecting.
Yeah.
But of course, but I would say, like, in terms of from a team's performance during a season, it must be, if they win against Roma, because I think it captures all of our imaginations when you go undefeated. You have teams there that have gone through an entire season and lost one game and garnered more points. Leverkusen, despite potentially going undefeated in the Bundesliga, won't have the most points in a season ever. That was 91, I think, under Flick. It won't be that, but it captures our imagination when a team goes undefeated. If they win against Roma or don't lose, go through this entire season now not losing, that's 53 games that they will have played this season and not have lost. They'll win the Bundesliga in such dominant fashion that we run out of the superlatives and adjectives to describe this. They win the cup against Kaiserslautern, maybe not, but big favorites. And then you go in the Europa League with one leg in the Europa League final, play the winner of Atalanta against Marseille. I would say then it would go down, if undefeated, as the best season ever.
And the funny thing, Marcus, is that let's not forget the history of this, because Arsenal at that time, a fantastic football team, a fantastic manager in Arsene Wenger. That was the Pires, Bergkamp, Petit, Henry. I mean, great defenders, fantastic team. But they've been a fantastic team for a while. This Leverkusen team was took over by Alonso when they were down. And this is like, what is it, 14, 15 months ago it took over there, or maybe a bit more. But at least last season.
October of last season.
Yeah, October of last season, good. And it's not like Alonso, that is the funny thing as well. It's not like Alonso care, because now they're winning 2-0 in Roma. Then they go to Eintracht Frankfurt, and I said on this, I had on a record here saying Frankfurt will knock them out. And we'll talk more about that game because it was a funny game. But he goes into that game and make eight changes. That was point one. And point two, when everybody loves Alonso, it was so funny to read that he was sitting in the stands because he was suspended. That's nothing like his brand. This is Obama meets JF Kennedy kind of guy at Leverkusen. So then they go into this game against Frankfurt. Frankfurt needs to secure their sixth position, so a point 3 would secure it big time for them, which is Europa League, which is the big target now. And it's a funny game, Marcus, because in the first half, it was like, I'm not saying with advantage for Eintracht Frankfurt because Leverkusen were up, and then they scored on a corner. This is the first time they scored on a corner since October 2022. I think it's over 250 corners without scoring, and they did score, but still they end up winning 5-1. 5-1. What's wrong with this team? Well, not what's not wrong with this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's you are amazed by this club in terms of you almost in any season, in any walk of life, you wait for the inevitable kind of dip. Like nothing in life is like this.
No.
And so far with Leverkusen seasons, that's exactly what it is. And then you have the Stanisic equalizer at Dortmund. You have the Andrich equalizer against Stuttgart. And then again, I saw the first half against Eintracht. And there was a point there I think, oh, Dad's going to have right now, isn't he? Because Leverkusen went up. And then, you know this, Dad, you don't have to be too much off it. As much as you have the unbeaten record in mind, you don't have to be too much off it. It was a bit sloppy from Leverkusen. Marmoush had one-on-one against the goalkeeper and just absolutely scuffed it. That would have put Eintracht up to 2-1 and then momentum changes. Of course, it's a lot ifs, buts, and maybes. So we can't, that's football. But that's the marker of a fantastic team, because then you have Loschek, the Czech, who, by the way, I think is starting his 5th league game of the season. Arthur made his first start of the season on left wing back. He's just, yeah, okay, I'll put you there for the first. Okay, we'll see. Play Eintracht away. They've lost. This was maybe their first loss or second loss in 25 or 26 games. Yeah, we'll put you there. And then Schick scores at the right time. And then you score, and then you win 5-1 away to Eintracht Frankfurt. I mean, incredible. And I think, just to make clear, the 48 game record is the one Leverkusen have equaled with Benfica across all competitions, right? So when you speak about the league and with Arsenal, stuff like that, because I think the numbers for myself as well, 48 games for Benfica across all competitions, they equal that. That stood for 59 years. And yeah, now you kind of run out of what to say about Leverkusen. What I would look really forward to is seeing them into next season and how they can build on that, because obviously the marker of a great team is the sort of the longevity of it as well. And I'd be really curious, and I think we both are, to see them in the Champions League next season as well, playing against the very best.
And you got a feeling now that they could play with Rudi Voller up front, who is a big fan of this club. We worked there for many years. He could play with Simon Rolf as the head of sport in midfield. Could play by Alonso as a 6 or 8 or a 10, and they would still win a game. And this feeling they have, but you still, Marcus, I got a feeling with every team that suddenly you get that game that everything goes wrong. But this team, you don't get a feeling. But what you do know, if you on a roulette, if there are 8 times on red, eventually it will come on black, or it will happen.
What if Leverkusen, they're red and black? So that's their season.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Yes, so Leverkusen can go all the way. The last game of the season, as Markus is saying, two games left of the Bundesliga season, and then there are 1 game Thursday against Roma. Then there are the final against the winner of the 2 legs between Marseille and Atalanta. That game is in Dublin, and I'm sad to say, Marcus, that Viaplay wanted to have me on the final, and I turned them down. And I turned them down. I couldn't. I can't. Really? I have to. I can't travel all the time. So
you are that big of a beer drinker as well. What a shame.
Yeah. Guinness, or what did I drink? Guinness, huh? But
exactly. Can I just say on the ending point, Dad? When they play Bochum next game, you know who the last team that they lost to in the league is?
Oh, Bochum. Here we go. Bochum will one. We'll talk about the relegation battle as next chapter here, because I just want to say that Ekitike, French striker for Eintracht Frankfurt. I use him as an example of my Eintracht, because I always like to put in Eintracht here. For Eintracht, he scored. Is on fire lately. Is a player, just shows you the Crusher philosophy. He has kind of built up a bank account of valuable players, young players. He has done that. Good for the future of Eintracht Frankfurt. What is nicht so good, what is not so good, is that that 6th position seems to it gets more exciting. But for Eintracht, because we can't get those vital points, and some of the in the crowd not happy with different things. But still, I as for Tottenham, if Tottenham had that row of games at the end of the season, and except in the beginning of the season, everybody would say, "Wow, what a great team! Now they will be 5th in the league, in the Premier League," and everybody would say, "Great season." And Eintracht is a bit like the same, because I would say that if Eintracht ends up the 6th position, and it seems that they will do that, but it's still 2 rounds left. So Eintracht got 45 points. And then you have Freiburg, Hoffenheim, and Augsburg. I would say that Augsburg is gone because they are 6 points after Eintracht, and there's no chance that they could catch them with goal difference. The goal difference of Eintracht is much better than both Freiburg and Hoffenheim, meaning that they have 5 points to Freiburg, really, in theory, and 6 to Hoffenheim. And the next round is a big one, Markus, and that could be a kind of a bridge to at the relegation zone that we said we're going to talk about. As you were saying, Bochum playing Leverkusen, that is a big one. As you were saying, Bochum beating Union in the big game in the last round. Unbelievable game there. You will take out what happened with the coaches. Frankfurt is playing Gladbach. Gladbach has found himself down in the game. I think that they got an advantage that they have a better goal difference, and they go 4 points down to Mainz, who is the place there. Then you got Freiburg Heidenheim. That is a very important game for Eintracht Frankfurt because we don't want Freiburg closer. Köln Union, the last chance for Köln. Köln is 5 points after Mainz. So basically they are down. Mainz themselves, they were 1-0 up at Heidenheim. That would kind of got them out to the relegation zone, but then there was an equalizer for Heidenheim. They're playing Dortmund at home. Maybe a good time to meet them after whatever happened in the Champions League. And the last one is Darmstadt Hoffenheim. And you got a feeling that Hoffenheim will get 3 points there, putting them up to 43. And the last game of the season, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Eintracht Frankfurt is playing Leipzig at home.
And we did discuss that we knew that they'd gone through that not easy patch, but we knew that they had a tough run of games against the top teams.
Yeah,
and that reflects because they've won 1 of their last 7 league games. Now they can fall back on Ekitike, who actually didn't score in his first 9 Bundesliga matches, but ever since that move made permanent, he's scored in his last 3, and he's a good player. And like you said, all credit to Eintracht and Krösche, who's created that environment for these players to want to come there. Remember, he was at PSG, and they've been able to cultivate sort of that positioning, which is a great one at that. I mean, I think a lot of clubs struggle to find, like, who are we as a club? And Eintracht certainly have found that. Of course, we both wish for them maybe to take that next step again. And that's because we've been spoiled with their performances of late. But yeah, please.
No, I'm just saying that you can see the philosophy is like Dortmund. When Dortmund had that period of time where they had Dembélé, they have Sancho, they have Erling Haaland, they're coming there to get better. They're coming good players in, great players going out. Starting with Mwani, they get 100 million euro for him. And you build up that bank. The problem is when you take the next step in the Bundesliga table, it's how long you can keep them. Yeah. And Frankfurt, the last 5-6 years, got great strikers, and you have to sell them. That's why it's so vital to come into Europe, because Europe is good for the brand. The address of the profit camp called Am Herzen von Europe, in the heart of Europe. So that is great for a city, a finance metropole as Eintracht Frankfurt, with so many great companies, financial, global companies around them to get into Europe. But talking about, bad bridge, but talking about the relegation zone, Markus, what a game there was. Union playing at home against Bochum. And Bochum were 3-0 up after 37 minutes. 3-0 up in the 37 minutes.
That was a catastrophic first half by Union Berlin. We're able to maintain some or restore some sort of pride. But of course, it ended up 4-3, Bochum. 3-0 down they were. They got back to 3-1, 3-2, then ended up 4-2, and then ended up 4-3. But of course, Union Berlin would have eyed this chance as a possibility to sort of cement their position within the Bundesliga. They had Bochum behind them, and now Bochum on 33 points, Union on 30. And had it not been for the fact that Mainz drew to Heidenheim, they would have been in the relegation playoff. Just some numbers for you as well is I guess I could start with the fact that they fired their manager. So they fired Nenad Bjelica, who took over from Urs Fischer. Yeah. And it's tough for a club when you've had someone as iconic and legendary as Urs Fischer with what he's done. Unfortunately, I think it was time. Union Berlin was struggling, and like any successful organization, team, whatnot, everything comes to a hold. Everything comes to an end. And so they got Bjelica in. 16 games he oversaw. He took 11 points from his first 7 matches. So we thought then, okay, they'll be all right. And then now lately the results have taken a turn for the worse. A return of 1 win in 9, 6 defeats and 2 draws. And now they're in real trouble. And I am, in terms of from a form perspective, I am a bit worried for Union Berlin. And they come into then a relegation playoff. You won't have someone like Stuttgart from last year who will go into that relegation playoff and really sort of make no doubt as to that result. You have a Union Berlin there who are low on confidence, who are now desperately seeking some new impulse, new stimuli, getting in Marco Grote, who's taken over as interim before. Yeah, it'll be tough, and it's sad, and it's just the same way it is sad that Cone is more than likely, even though I have a theory that somehow they could make it, but even still, it's sad, but it's deserved, and that's football.
Yeah, it's football, and as you do speak, and we are in this time of the year that I will do my expert relegation thing.
Yes,
because
from the relegation.
As you do know, I am the most famous relegation battler in the world. Made a career in Germany based on my scoring the 5-1 goals back in '99.
That reminds me of the sketch with Sebastian Coe says, as you know, I did arrange the 2012 Olympics.
Exactly, as I did. But the reason I'm telling this story always at this time of the year, and I do that to a lot of German journalists, and it's interesting, over Union Berlin, 2 games to go, and they tried to get in another coach. At that time, back in 1999, we got Jörg Berger, who was called the Feuerwehrmann, the fireman. He was always the guy who saved clubs. He came in, he had 7 games to go, Markus, and the 4 last games of the season, said it before, and I will say it again for the rest of my life, we played Werder Bremen away, Dortmund at home, Schalke away, and Kaiserslautern at that time was a great team with Otto Rehhager, Michael Ballack. They were one of the best teams. They needed a point to get into in the Champions League. And we knew that if we won, we would have a big chance. And the days before the last game of the season, that's why I'm always skeptical when people start with rest program, because the rest program, what does that say? We won in Bremen. We won at home against Dortmund. We won at Schalke. Terrible game, first half, 2-0 down. I scored a 2-1. 1 touch I had in my first half, 2-1. And Jörg Berger, of all people, for new subscribers who haven't heard the story before, at halftime, we were 2-1 down, and it was 60,000 in the stadium. It was the last game of the season at home for them. And Jörg Berger, he was standing, bless his soul, he's not amongst us, one of my best friends in football, unfortunately dead. And he was standing there, always did like this with his nose, and he said, you know, boys, I got a feeling. No, he didn't say we got a feeling. He just said, we're going to win this. We're going to win this game 3-2. Olaf Janssen, our libero, scored his first goal of the season. Of course he did. 2-2 after 2-2, and he went through. And before the week before the end of the season, that's why now 2 rounds to go, that will start now. Theories, if Union wins, if Köln now win and Mainz doesn't win at home, they will be closer. So at the game, there's so many details. And at that time, they made all possible and impossible things that could happen in the last round. And I swear to God, Markus, what happened at the end, nobody had said that was we were going to pass Nuremberg on goal difference. We had the same goal difference, but we had more goals scored. So I scored a 5-1 goal, that was decisive, if I haven't told you that before. 5-1 goal at the end of the 90th minute made us stay up. And that's why, Markus, a long story, not to let this happen, that is something about me, but I will do the you did the points, but I will also do the goal difference, because I think that this will go down to goal difference. Gladbach got 33 points, -7. So they have the best goal difference of the whole teams, meaning they are 4 points ahead of Mainz for the moment, but that is really 5. So that means that Mainz got to have 2 wins to pass them, because they can only get 3 points and a draw. So they have to have two wins, Mainz. Then 33 Bochum as well. That is a good point to have, but they have -24 and Mainz got -17, meaning that is by 4 points, Mainz will pass them. And then you got Union, who has the worst goal difference of the 30 points and -25. So saying that they have the worst goal difference. Köln got the worst with -30. So I think that it's 95% sure that Köln will go down, but we never know. That's my point. We never know. So if Köln got winning 2 games, they have 30 points, meaning that Mainz got to lose both games. So how statistically you
but
feel
then
that
Köln and Union. We got Köln and of course it's tough because Union are on 30 and with the goal difference, like you said.
And then to complicate it, how it is then at the end. So between Köln and Union, there are 5 goals, but they playing each other this. So if Köln winning 2-0, 2 plus, 2 minus, so then the goal differences are alike, you know. So there are so many small details coming into that, Marcus. And I would like to remind people that the relegation battle, I mean, to battle for a championship, to battle for a European space, fantastic. The success, the consequences, fantastic for you as a football player. But the relegation zone is so nerve-wracking because it's the existence of a football club. See Hamburg now, is this the 6th season, I think, or 5th or 6th season out of with the big boys? They're still down there. Look at Schalke, one of the biggest clubs. They go straight down to the bottom half of the Zweite Liga. It's hard to go back. And these idiots who say, well, it's good to go down, that we can restart. Please restart in the Bundesliga then. You don't have to go down to start over again. So it's very nerve-wracking for them, Marcus. And this playoff system, we know that is over 2 games, one leg home. There is one team in the Zweite Bundesliga. Everything is a plus for Köln now. If Köln managed to make that position, they would be happy. But for others, it would be a big disappointment if they're dragged into that. So now this is going to be nerve-wracking, Marcus, but fantastic for us neutrals to follow, because when we follow the round, when we follow the goal shows, every goal counts. And just to end it with me again, we were 4-1. We were 4-1 up against Kaiserslautern in that game, decisive game in '99. Then there was 60,000 in the stadium in Eintracht, and suddenly everything went quiet. So you do understand, and this was a time where there was no live table or anything. So people had their radio. We just heard it. So then we realized that every result went against us, and that is another thing that. What will they know? What should they know there to do that? 2 games to go, Marcus, and it's a fantastic relegation battle in the Bundesliga.
And for those listeners that aren't aware, when we have the intro to this podcast, the commentary you can hear is from the 5-1 goal in which you score as well. So just have a little.
Not that I care about that. Not that I care about that.
To be fair, I actually included that on my initiative. You didn't tell me anything like that. I thought it would be fitting. So in your defense,
that I'm proud of it or anything. No,
as you should be. And it is. I randomly came across on my YouTube yesterday when a suggested video, and it was a Bundesliga official video, and it was like the greatest relegation battle ever, and it was you on the thumbnail. So I'll say that as your son.
You were in the stadium, Marcus. You were in the stadium. You were 5, and nobody understood what has happened because it was a miracle. The day after, Jörg Berger, who was very happy the day after, and Nuremberg, mind you, Nuremberg had the biggest chance in the world to make a goal, meaning that they would have beating us if they got another goal against Freiburg. And Jörg Berger was standing the day after. We were on our way back to Norway, Marcus. You won't remember that. We were in Frankfurt house. It was a great summer day. And Jörg Berger came over and he said about the coach of Nuremberg, who had said that Jörg Berger will go down. Jörg Berger will go down. And Björk said, he didn't say Eintracht Frankfurt will go down. He said Jörg Berger go down. He would say that he's a fucking asshole. He was crying in the restaurant, being on top of the world, of course, saving Eintracht Frankfurt in seven games. And God bless his soul.
Indeed. And that's what Union are hoping for as well. That last impetus, that last stimuli as such. It will be a lot to follow that. We will be back at the end of the week to review the European performances of our dear German teams. But for now, we will go back. You're in Salzburg. You have a game to prepare for, mind you. And we will reconvene, like I said, at the end of the week.
And we will be together on Friday morning, Markus. You're coming home for some days, and we will sit together. That we don't do too often. Looking forward to that. And I will end as I started. Please subscribe. Very appreciated. Do give us feedback, how you like the episode. If you have any question, we try to answer as many as we can. I think we are on 100%, Markus, on answering them. And also good feedback. What do you want to have on the episode? 2 games to go in Germany. There's so much going on. But as for now, Markus, we'll get this episode out, and then we have a look at Dortmund playing in Paris. And people, when they listen to this, they know what has gone there. But we could have 2 German teams at Wembley at the Champions League final. Wow, what a Farmers League that is.